Ladies and gentlemen, you do not gather here today to hear comforting lies. You gather here to hear what works. The world is not ruled by goodness, nor by justice, nor by those who hope. It is ruled by those who understand power, human nature, and fear. Most people live pretending that others are kind, loyal, and fair. But I tell you this: people are driven by self-interest, survival, and advantage. They admire strength, submit to certainty, and abandon weakness. This is not evil decisive. If you wish to succeed in leadership, in business, in love, or in life, you must stop asking how the world should be and begin mastering how it is. You will learn that respect is not given to those who beg for it. It is granted to those who command it. That loyalty does not come from kindness. It comes from confidence and consequence. Today, you will not be taught how to be liked. You will be taught how to be undeniable. And once you understand this truth, you will never be powerless again. Confidence, as Machiavelli would understand it, is not something you generate by repeating positive phrases to yourself or by hoping the world will treat you kindly. It is a strategic force that shapes how others perceive you and how they behave around you. Most people believe confidence is an internal emotion, a feeling of self-belief that rises and falls depending on mood, success, or validation. But in reality, confidence functions more like a psychological signal you project into the world, and that signal influences whether others see you as a leader, a threat, or someone to ignore. When you walk into a room, people unconsciously evaluate your posture, your eye contact, the pace of your movement, the certainty in your voice, and the way you occupy space. Long before you speak, they are deciding whether you are dominant, uncertain, important, or expendable. This is why confidence is strategic rather than emotional. It is not about how you feel inside, but about the message you send outside. Machiavelli understood that people do not follow those who are good. They follow those who appear strong, decisive, and unmovable. A ruler who hesitates, explains too much, or seeks approval invites challenge. A ruler who moves with calm certainty creates psychological gravity. Others orbit around that certainty because humans are drawn to stability in an unstable world. When someone appears sure of themselves, people assume they know something, possess something, or control something that others do not. This is where terrifying confidence comes from. It is not loud or aggressive. It is quiet, steady, and controlled. It does not ask permission. It does not rush to prove itself. It simply acts as if it belongs. This kind of confidence creates unease in others because it makes them question their own position. When someone stands calmly while everyone else is anxious, it suggests power. When someone speaks slowly while others rush, it suggests control. When someone does not react emotionally, it suggests dominance. These signals are deeply wired into human psychology. We evolved to follow those who appear certain in moments of danger. Confidence, therefore, is a survival cue. People often mistake arrogance for confidence, but they are opposites. Arrogance is loud because it is insecure. It tries to convince others. Strategic confidence does not try. It assumes. Machiavelli would say that a leader must appear confident, even when uncertain, because perception becomes reality. If others believe you are strong, you become strong. If they believe you are weak, you will be attacked. Confidence is therefore not about lying to others, but about controlling the narrative of who you are in their minds. This is why positive thinking alone is useless. You can feel wonderful inside, but if your body language, your voice, and your actions project hesitation, people will treat you as weak. Real confidence is built through alignment between intention and action. You decide what you will do, and then you do it without apology. Each time you follow through, you reinforce your own self-trust, and others feel it. That self-trust becomes visible. It changes how you walk, how you speak, and how you hold silence. Silence itself becomes a weapon when backed by certainty. In Machiavellian terms, confidence is a form of power. It makes people adjust their behavior around you. They interrupt you less. They question you less. They hesitate before opposing you. Not because you threaten them, but because your presence suggests you cannot be easily moved. In social, professional, and political environments, this psychological advantage is often more powerful than money or status. Those who master this kind of confidence do not need to dominate others aggressively. They simply exist in a way that makes others adapt to them. Terrifying confidence, the kind that unsettles people and quietly commands respect, is not created by loudness, charm, or constant self-promotion. It is created by something far deeper and far more rare: internal clarity. Internal clarity means knowing exactly who you are, what you stand for, what you will tolerate, and what you will never accept. When a person has this kind of clarity, they no longer leak uncertainty into their behavior. They do not They do not fidget for approval. They do not scan the room to see who is judging them. Their mind is settled, and because the mind is settled, the body follows. This stillness is what people feel when they say someone has a strong presence. Machiavelli understood that people fear what they cannot move. A ruler who is unsure can be persuaded, pressured, or intimidated. A ruler who knows exactly what they want becomes psychologically immovable. This is what internal clarity produces. It turns a person into something solid in a world of emotional noise. When you are clear about your values, your goals, and your boundaries, other people feel it even if you never speak about it. They sense that you are not easily bent. That sensation alone creates respect, and in some cases, fear. Most people walk through life with a foggy sense of who they are. Their opinions change depending on who they are with. Their goals shift when someone disagrees with them. Their behavior is shaped by the desire to be accepted. This makes them predictable and easy to manipulate. Internal clarity breaks that pattern. When you are clear, you do not negotiate with your own standards. You do not betray yourself for comfort. You do not abandon your direction to please others. This creates a kind of moral and psychological backbone that others recognize instantly. This is why terrifying confidence does not come from ego. Ego is fragile. It needs applause. It crumbles under criticism. Internal clarity, on the other hand, does not care whether it is praised or attacked. It is rooted in decision, not validation. You know who you are and where you are going, so other people's reactions become irrelevant. This is deeply unsettling to those who live off social approval, because they realize you are not part of the same emotional economy they depend on. When you speak from internal clarity, your words carry weight. You do not try to impress. You state. You do not argue desperately. You decide. Your tone becomes calm because you are not internally fighting yourself. This calmness makes people lean in. They feel that you are operating from something deeper than emotion. Machiavelli would say that this is the foundation of authority. Authority is not granted by titles. It is granted by certainty. Internal clarity also eliminates fear-based behavior. When you know what you want and what you will accept, you no longer fear rejection as much, because rejection does not threaten your identity. You no longer chase people who do not respect you. You no longer shrink to avoid conflict. You move toward what aligns with you and away from what does not. This creates a pattern of decisive action that builds confidence in yourself and in the eyes of others. Over time, this clarity compounds. Every time you honor your standards, you strengthen yourself. Every time you refuse to betray your direction, you become more grounded. People around you feel this groundedness. They sense that you are not acting from impulse or desperation, but from something stable and deliberate. That stability is what makes confidence terrifying, because it signals that you cannot be easily controlled, persuaded, or broken. People do not experience confidence through logic first. They experience it through sensation. Before a single word is spoken, the nervous system is already reacting. Humans are wired to scan for cues of strength, weakness, safety, and danger in others, and this happens in fractions of a second. The eyes, posture, breathing, stillness, movement, and tone of voice all transmit information faster than any sentence ever could. This is why people feel confidence before they understand it. It is a physical and emotional signal, not an intellectual one. Machiavelli understood this instinctively, because political power has always depended on perception more than on truth. When someone enters a room with slow, deliberate movement and relaxed posture, it sends a signal of control. When someone maintains eye contact without staring aggressively, it signals certainty. When someone speaks with a steady voice that does not rise in pitch to seek approval, it signals dominance. None of these signals require explanation. The brain reads them automatically. That is why a person can walk into a room and immediately change the energy without saying anything. Others begin to sit up straighter, lower their voices, or hesitate before interrupting. They are responding to the unspoken language of confidence. This language is more powerful than words because it bypasses conscious filtering. People can lie with words, but it is much harder to lie with the body. Nervous movements, lucid speech, shallow breathing, and restless eyes all reveal uncertainty, even if someone is saying confident things. True confidence creates coherence. The body, voice, and behavior all align around a calm certainty. This coherence is what people trust, because it feels real. Machiavelli would say that perception creates reality in the social world. If people feel that you are powerful, you become powerful in their eyes. If they feel that you are weak, they treat you accordingly. This is why leaders who understand presence can control rooms without raising their voices. They do not need to dominate overtly because their presence already shapes the behavior of others. People interrupt them less, question them less, and unconsciously look to them for direction. The reason this works is rooted in survival psychology. For thousands of years, humans depended on reading subtle cues to know who could lead them through danger. The calmest, most composed individual in a crisis was usually the one who knew what to do. That instinct is still alive in modern environments. Even if the dangers are now social instead of physical, we still trust and follow those who appear centered under pressure. Confidence feels like safety to the nervous system. This is also why forced confidence fails. When someone tries to appear confident but is internally anxious, their signals become mixed. They might speak loudly but fidget, or smile while their eyes dart. The brain picks up the contradiction and registers it as inauthentic. This creates discomfort instead of trust. True confidence, however, produces clean signals. The body is relaxed, the voice is grounded, and the movements are economical. There is no wasted motion because there is no internal panic. People who master this form of confidence do not try to convince others. They allow others to feel it. Their presence becomes a quiet force that shifts the emotional climate around them. In Machiavellian terms, this is a form of power that requires no aggression. Only those who feel it may not be able to explain why, but they know instinctively that they are in the presence of someone who cannot be easily shaken. Confidence becomes truly powerful when it starts to function as psychological leverage. This means that your inner certainty creates pressure in other people's minds, causing them to second-guess themselves, hesitate, or adjust their behavior in your presence. Machiavelli understood that power is rarely about physical force. It is about shaping the decisions of others. When someone is deeply confident, they create a kind of invisible weight in the room. Others feel it and begin to orient themselves around it, often without realizing why. This happens because human beings are constantly measuring one another. We are always asking, even unconsciously, who has the stronger will? Who is more stable? Who is more certain? When you project calm certainty, you shift that internal calculation in your favor. People begin to wonder whether you know something they do not, whether you have more options, or whether you are more prepared. That uncertainty weakens their position and strengthens yours. You have not threatened them or argued with them, yet you have created psychological dominance. This leverage becomes especially visible in moments of conflict or negotiation. A person who is unsure of themselves will rush to explain, justify, or defend their position. They will fill silence with words because silence feels dangerous to them. A confident person does the opposite. They allow silence. They state their position once and wait. This forces the other person to feel the tension. The one who can sit calmly in that tension controls the interaction. The other person begins to reveal their own insecurity through over-talking concessions or emotional reactions. Machiavelli would say that this is how power quietly shifts hands. The one who remains steady while others become anxious gains influence without lifting a finger. This is why true confidence is unsettling. It removes the usual emotional handles that people use to manipulate each other. You cannot easily guilt someone who is grounded. You cannot easily intimidate someone who is not afraid of conflict. You cannot easily persuade someone who is not desperate for approval. Your calm certainty blocks their attempts to move you. Over time, this creates a reputation. People begin to expect that you will not fold under pressure. They anticipate that arguing with you will be difficult. They assume that you are not easily influenced. This anticipation alone gives you leverage before any interaction even begins. Others may approach you more cautiously, choose their words more carefully, or avoid unnecessary conflict altogether. This is the deeper function of confidence, as Machiavelli would see it. It is not about looking impressive. It is about shaping the emotional and psychological terrain around you so that others unconsciously yield ground. You are not pushing them back. They are stepping back themselves. Your presence creates a kind of invisible boundary that others sense and respect. That boundary becomes a form of power that works silently, continuously, and with remarkable effectiveness. Terrifying confidence does not grow from words, self-image, or how you wish to be seen. It grows from action. Specifically, it grows from consistent action that proves to yourself, again and again, that you do what you say you will do. Machiavelli understood that reputation is built on outcomes, not intentions. A person who acts decisively and delivers results becomes predictable in the most powerful way. Others expect them to succeed. That expectation alone begins to work in their favor. When confidence is rooted in action, it no longer depends on ego. Ego needs recognition and collapses when challenged. Action-based confidence does not care about applause, because it is anchored in evidence. You know what you are capable of, because you have lived it. You have faced resistance, discomfort, and risk, and you did not retreat. This creates a deep internal stability that cannot be shaken by criticism or doubt. Others feel this stability because it changes how you move through the world. You are not reactive. You are deliberate. Machiavelli would argue that this is why successful leaders often appear calm in moments where others panic. They are not guessing who they are. They have already tested themselves through action. Every difficult decision they have made becomes a layer of armor. This armor is invisible, but it shows in their posture, in their patience, and in their willingness to wait. When you are confident in your ability to act, you do not rush to prove yourself. You let time work for you. This kind of confidence also shapes how others predict your behavior. People begin to assume that you will follow through, that you will enforce boundaries, and that you will not make empty threats. Once this assumption exists, you need to exert less effort. You do not have to argue as much or explain as much. Your past actions speak for you. This is one of the most powerful forms of influence because it reduces resistance before it appears. Action-based confidence also removes the need to dominate emotionally. You do not need to intimidate because people already sense that you are capable. You do not need to boast because your behavior has established your credibility. You do not need to react aggressively because you trust your ability to respond when necessary. This restraint is often misread as coldness, but in reality it is control. Machiavelli would see this as wisdom. Power that is always on display becomes predictable and weak. Power that is quiet remains respected. The most important aspect of this confidence is that it is self-reinforcing. Each action strengthens the next. Each boundary enforced makes the next easier to enforce. Each risk taken and survived reduces fear. Over time, fear stops driving your decisions. You act based on strategy rather than emotion. This shift is visible to others. They sense that you are not moved by panic or excitement, but by intention. When confidence is anchored in action rather than ego, it becomes something others can rely on. They may not like you, but they will respect you. They may not agree with you, but they will take you seriously. In Machiavellian terms, this is far more valuable than being admired. Admiration fades. Predictable strength endures. Give me conclusion of speeches. What you have learned is not about becoming louder, more charming, or more impressive. It is about becoming psychologically unmovable. Confidence, when it is real, does not come from what you say about yourself, but from what others feel in your presence. It is built from clarity about who you are, from control over your emotions, from the discipline to act, and from the refusal to be shaped by fear or approval. When you are internally clear, your body becomes calm. When your body is calm, your presence becomes powerful. When your presence becomes powerful, others begin to adjust themselves around you. This is how influence is born. Machiavelli understood that the world does not reward those who hope, but those who decide. Those who know their direction and walk it without apology create a gravity that pulls everything else into alignment. You do not need to dominate, threaten, or beg. You only need to be certain, consistent, and willing to act when others hesitate. When your confidence is anchored in action, people stop questioning you. When it is anchored in clarity, people stop trying to move you. When it is anchored in control, people begin to respect you. And from that respect comes power.